Okay, we're back with part 2 now. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this aircraft in the air and just kind of show you the basics of what the little aircraft will do. Now, what you want to do is you want to test out all your buttons and make sure that they're working properly before you even try to take off, because there's nothing worse than getting up in the air and suddenly discovering that none of your shit works. So the first thing we want to do is check your views. So let's start. We're going to look right, right back. We're going to look down. We're going to look up. We're going to look left back, left, I think they say left front, and then right front. Now you want to try and make your turns mostly to the left if you can, because you have very limited visibility out to your right hand side, and your crew chief will sit on the left hand side. So, or you can have your guy sit on the right hand side and he can spot shit on your right hand side. But if you have a gunner on this gun that's in the back left corner, you'll actually see his crosshair moving across the screen, so you can actually walk his rounds into targets and things like that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to check to make sure that your previous and your next buttons are working. So hit your previous and it should pop up on the left over there. Auto hover, get out, light on, and you should be able to go up and down. And what you want to do is then check to make sure that your other button, which is the active button, is working. And as you can see, my red position indicator or formation light there is actually on right now. So now we're going to turn those lights off. You can see that they're off. Okay, now what we're going to do is you're going to press your increase thrust and the aircraft should begin to spool up. Now you can't just instantly take off. You actually have to wait for the aircraft to get up to speed before you just take off and run. Now the way to start off is to leave your auto hover on and to practice get up into the air high enough off the ground and then begin to maneuver. If you feel comfortable with it, you turn your auto hover off, and what you want to make sure with your previous and next, one, do not eject, because it will just bail you out of the damn helicopter. If you're high enough, you'll pop a parachute, but now you've lost your aircraft and you'll probably kill whoever's on board. Or two, you're too low and he'll die and the aircraft will blow up, so try not to do that. Do not do an engine off. You need about 1,500 feet of altitude to get the aircraft. Not 1,500. You probably need 500 foot worth of altitude, or whatever they measure altitude in here with. About 500 meters or 500 feet, I think it's feet, to get the engine back online and get enough lift to not hit the ground. And that's if it's pretty level, you're at sea level. So be very careful when you're going through here. Make sure that you get used to it, because you're going to do it a few times. It's going to happen. You're going to engine off by accident. You're probably going to eject a few times on accident, but just visually look and make sure that it's correct. Now, you may have to play with the sensitivity on your controls, and we'll show you how to do that right quick. If you notice that, like right now, you're sitting here with no throttle in, and it's trying to take off, or it's moving, or it's wiggling, so you want to go into your controls and actually let's go aircraft controls, and then here, and then what you actually want to do is delete that first off, and then you want to actually I apologize here, we want to go controller, select whatever you have, like I'm wanting to do the fighter stick, and I want to customize the axis. It should be set to a manageable deal, but if you find that you're needing more sensitivity with it, then you should set it appropriately. Another thing that you're probably running into right now is the sound. If you're flying a whole hell of a lot, you want your effects to be down very, very low, so that you can hear over everybody else, so that everyone can hear you, and so that you can do what you need to do, even while you're flying the helicopter. So you want to have this turned down very low. Now when you get out of the helicopter, if you're going to be doing any kind of engagement or running around doing anything else, you want to make sure that you have that up so that you can hear people running around, shots fired, things like that. But when you get near an aircraft, you want to turn that down, way down, so that you can hear everybody. Okay, so now we're going to do basics. We're going to just do a takeoff, and we're just going to do some hover work here. So the first thing we want to do is just a slow increase in throttle, or thrust as they like to say, and you should just leave the ground pretty steadily. Now you'll start to drift a little bit And so you'll just kind of counter slowly. And as it gets to an altitude that you want to decrease the throttle. And you'll notice that it will begin to fall after a short period of time, and just be real smooth with it. If it starts to go too far forward, then you want to just pull back slightly on the stick. And what this does is it kind of brings you to a slow hover here. And now, once we're up here at altitude, if you're using auto hover, you're fine, because that's not an issue. You just won't have any drift. And then you want to play with your pedal a little bit. You want to do a little bit of right pedal. And stop, and you'll notice that you're drifting a little bit to the right. So you want to counteract this if you're doing a very fast pedal turn to the right or to the left. And so let's do a little bit of left pedal now. And now you notice that we're drifting just a little bit to the left. So as you start to do fast left pedal, you want to hold a little bit of left stick. And I decrease my throttle a little bit too much. And now we're drifting backwards a little bit, so I'm going to increase throttle to about half on my stick. And really just don't get too overwhelmed. That's the biggest thing. It'll start to get away from you. Now, if it starts to get away from you and it's not doing what you want it to do, then the first thing you want to do is just do auto hover. And if you're not moving very fast, just 1 second. I just need, excuse me. If you're not moving very fast, you won't have very much movement when you go into auto hover. And auto hover, really all you have to do is just play with the throttle, and you can get it to a manageable level, and play with it as needed. And you can play with your pedals and kind of get used to it. And you want to get used to using your pedals because that's what you use to get your gunner onto targets. Like we'll use this cow as an example up here. So I've cruised in here. It's too much throttle here, but I've got some forward movement here. And I want to put my gunner right on top of that cow. So I would pitch up slightly and a little bit of left pedal, and I can see him out my left door. And my gunner should be all over that cow. Now, just like Ace's High, this will take time to complete. But this aircraft is the one to learn it on, to be honest with you. It's not too finicky. It doesn't get going super fast. It will take some damage if you're getting chased by someone, AI or other players. And it'll haul pretty much anything you need to do. The biggest thing, though, is that if you make a mistake, this is a very forgiving aircraft. It'll generate lift very quickly, climb very fast, and it'll get out of a lot of snafus relatively easily. A few other things that you can do with it is, with enough altitude, usually about 150 or so, is you can incomplete little flips like this. Now, when you do that, you'll notice that you start to dump a lot of altitude. So you want to be careful of that when you start to do it. And so you can do this a couple times at a reasonable altitude. You can see how it starts to drop, and actually that hit right there would have been enough to disable the aircraft. Now, I have car guide on, so you can see how it actually didn't do anything. We'll simulate right quick and just show you, that you're safe when you're riding here with an admin. And you can do this in another server, but I doubt that you'll have one that's knowledgeable about it. So we're just going to drop it here and see what happens. Okay, so then that broke the engine. Now, I didn't show you in the left-hand side because I have car guide on, but it did. So now I'm just going to turn it back on, and this will happen for either seat. So, even if it crashes and I'm inside the aircraft, it doesn't happen. Just go climb out. And what you really want to do is you just want to get in here and you want to get comfortable with the aircraft. Really, you can practice with the Huey in pretty much any of the ARMAs from the armory, and it's an option from the main menu. And the Huey's just it's a fun aircraft to fly. It responds very well to movement and such, and it's a very forgiving aircraft. Now, with a helicopter, when you go to make a very hard turn, you want to try and kind of pitch up. Now, you're going to bleed airspeed and you will bleed altitude, so you want to be aware of this. You go to make very hard turns, especially down low on the deck, running away from bad guys. But again, just like Ace's High, the lower you get, a lot of times you'll either force people to crash or they'll make mistakes. Now, using our button for the GPS, we can kind of take a look and see kind of where we're flying. We also have some grids up there, like we're in 0805 right now. We can see just roughly. And as you slow down in speed, I'll show you. And to slow down in speed, you really just have to a reduction in throttle, and really just yank the nose up to get it to slow enough. As you can see, once we get down to a low enough airspeed, that we actually get very precise coordinates, 080049. And you read from left to right and then up and down. And as you can see, we pretty much stopped here. Another way to pretty much stop yourself on a dime is to pitch the nose almost completely vertical and kick hard rudder one way or the other. Usually, like I told you before, it's the left, as you can see the best to the left out of this area. This is an AI area here, so they'll probably fire at me as I pass through this area, but again, the car got on. It's not. Not going to cause an issue. I actually did not fire at me there, so that was always good. We're going to stop, do a hard pedal turn here. So I shoot. They have very wide open front windows, so it is a danger that you can be shot through either the lower glass or through the front here, so you want to be aware of that. So far, none of the rounds have impacted, but you always want to be careful. I heard some of those rounds impact back there. Now the Panthera, which is what we're in right now, this is the map we're actually in, is a very diverse map. You have everything from hills and ravines and such, as you see here, to desert areas and open water. So there's a lot of terrain irregularities here, a lot of stuff to hide in, a lot of stuff to fly behind, a lot of stuff to crash into yourself if you're not careful. And something that you want to be careful of. So, just to kind of wrap up, if you guys are looking for instruction in this, I'm available if you have questions, or if you've ever flown on here or not real sure about it, or want ways to, want to know how to kind of do it. This server right now is just getting started. If there's DayZ players out there that are wanting to play DayZ, we have good active admins, and it's not a joke. This server is not for play. It is for play, but anyway, it has a night cycle. The AI are serious. The zombies can run, and it's a pretty serious server. But you can learn to do some flying if that's something that you want to do. As you can see, it's kind of getting away from me, so I'm going to hit my auto hover, and I'm going to skid back a little bit to the right here. And a little bit of right pedal. It's actually doing this. I don't have my hand on the stick. It's actually counteracting to get the hover in correctly. And then all I have to do is play with my hover, my throttle settings, to bring it down successfully. And then engine off. Whenever you're going to pick up friends, things like that, if you're going to be sitting there for a minute, it's best to shut your aircraft down, because you don't want to have people come walking up on you and shoot you out of your aircraft. And so they can hear too. Questions, comments, concerns, let me hear them. This is the first time doing this kind of thing, but it's just another aircraft, another airframe to learn. I hope that y'all have learned something from these two videos, and I appreciate you watching, and keep it up.